So through the course of this human suffering during the pandemic, we've been getting you interviews and stories of all those who are helping at an individual level, their personal enterprise to help people out of this crisis. Today we speak to actor Anupam Kher, who has initiated the Heal India project as a part of his foundation. Mr. Anupam Kher, first of all, thank you so much for your effort. Mr. Kher, I want to know from you, what is the nature of the assistance that people want from you? What are you hearing? Please share your experience of working with the Heal India project.
So we've founded Anupam Kher Foundation in 2008. I was working a lot with children. I had to decide what cause do I get associated with, because there are so many causes and I didn't want to sort of concentrate on so many things. And I thought the children are the closest. So I was working with underprivileged children. So this foundation was working with palliative care, orphanages, street children, especially abled children. We were working. But when this whole pandemic started, then we thought, no, we need to have the same focus of helping, but helping anybody who is right now suffering. So the word that came to my mind was compassion. And with compassion, you need to sort of do things which will also help, whether in terms of medical equipment. And we were fortunate that I knew Dr. Ash Tiwari, who's the head and the chair of neurology in Mount Sinai in New York, and who said that he's organizing a lot of equipment. I will say lot of, though he says it's very little, along with the help of Bharat Forge Limited and Baba Kalyani. And he wanted Anupam Kher Foundation to identify hospitals which will and where it should go, and to sort of make people aware of what is happening. On the paper, on the phone calls level, it was just a conversation. But when we went into the details of it, and we discovered, sometimes you stay away from a certain situation and then you discover there is so much to do. And that's what we have discovered in the last few months, especially in the second wave. So what he is doing is he is sending us oxygen concentrators, ventilators, and other medical equipments. And we are sending it to various hospitals, needy hospitals, hospitals which are not necessarily rich and famous. I'm not saying that rich and famous hospitals are not doing work. They are doing great work. But sometimes people who can't afford these hospitals, we have sent it to hospitals in Kanpur, hospital in Delhi, Pune, Gazipur, and also a lot of hospitals in Mumbai. And we are also giving it to BMC here, some of it to the police stations if they need oxygen concentrators. And it is just the beginning. But my organization and my foundation has been working also on the mental health that is being a major problem because of this pandemic and lockdown. That we have been working for a long time. And now is the time, I think, to get into that also. So because I know a lot of people who are suffering with this mental anxiety or lots of other things. So I think we will get into that phase. And at the same time, the whatever equipment or whatever help, donation, etc. we are getting, we will try and sort of help the needy.
Yes, but Mr. Kher, it's interesting that you mentioned mental health as the big problem, because this, many doctors have pointed out, is going to be the next big challenge even after this wave goes away. You think mental trauma is something which needs special attention and special focus as we go along?
It is a bigger challenge according to me, because physical nature of illness and sickness is visible. But what happens in somebody's mind is not visible. You have to sometimes dig it out. Sometimes the person who is going through himself or herself, the mental illness or a mental anxiety or mental health issues, they may not know, and that may end into more problems than anything else. So it has to go on for another few years for people to feel better about it. For children who have not gone to the schools, who do not know what companionship is all about, who do not know what outdoorship is all about. older people who have said, my mother is also feeling the pressure of being at home for the last 2 years. And she says, mujhe jana, and sometimes I can see that she gets she's a happy-go-lucky person otherwise, but I'm seeing the signs that she's getting very, very upset that she has not been able to go to Shimla, she has not been able to move out of the house. So I think the mental health issue is going to be a big thing, and that's where we are working with the team of psychologists, psychiatrists. We have people who are helping us, who are we are calling them champions, who are volunteers, who are trained people in the business of mental health.
Yes, Mr. Kher, see, there are people like you, there's Sonu Sood, of course. Then even in the political world, in the political spectrum, you've got people like Srinivas BV in the Congress, Mr. Shalabh Tripathi of the BJP in Uttar Pradesh, who are all working, but they're working as individuals. Many individuals have devoted themselves to helping and assisting people. You think had governments done their job, these individual efforts would not have been required. Do you look at yourself as someone assisting the system, or unfortunately having become, many people like you, becoming the system itself, simply because there is none?
I'm assisting humanity. I'm assisting the person in me. I'm helping myself by helping others. I don't think that's a very natural process of feeling compassion towards the other fellow citizens or fellow human beings. It has not happened only. Of course, this is a very large scale on a world level that has happened. But people have gone out of their way to help each other in the times of war, in the times of floods, in the times of sukha, in the times of earthquakes. So this is not the first time people are helping each other. People are helping because there is an element of help that is in every human being. Even this conversation is to help people. Even this conversation is to tell people there is a person inside you. You see, it's our job is a different thing. You're a news anchor, I'm an actor, but that is part of our life. That is not our life. We are also parents. We are also husband, wife. There are wives also. There are mothers. There are brothers and sisters. That is where you react to each other. So it's not necessarily to assist anybody. It's to assist ourselves. It's to assist human beings. It's assist feel stronger with other person. It's very natural. If that stops in us, if we stop reacting to that, then we'll stop existing. We'll stop. We will be like anybody else. I think that's important to do.
Absolutely, I agree with you, Mr. Kher. But see, the problem is beds, oxygen, medicine, now vaccines. The only one word that one gets to hear is shortage. And for all those who have lost their loved ones simply because there was a shortage of supply and not necessarily because of the disease, do you think that anything can be done to console such people who have lost their near and dear ones simply because there was a shortage?
It's difficult to console. It is so difficult. How can you console a person who has lost somebody because of shortage of oxygen, because of shortage of medical facility, because of shortage of bed? You can't. You can't do that. But that does not stop life. I was very close to my father. I thought my father will die. He was my best friend. I will never be able to survive. I've survived. I'm not saying that people I have lost some very dear friends. You have lost some very dear friends. You are still going on and talking, doing your job. I'm still doing my job. Sometimes your tragedy looks very smaller as the tragedy to somebody else. We can complain, we should. We can get angry, we should. We can get helpless, we should. But we should not stop being people who are feeling that, okay, how can I reduce somebody else's pain? How can I help? There will be plenty of time to sort of do that. Even now, we should be angry. Of course, we should be angry and frustrated. But that should not stop me. It's like being on the front. A fellow soldier gets hit by a bullet. You can either sort of stop and start feeling horrible about it, or you can move on. That's what happens. This is a war situation, at least on a level that is happening. And we are overpopulated. It's not. I was talking to a doctor just now who has helped us in this Heal India process. He was saying New York was worse, but that does not make my pain lesser than that by thinking, oh, New York was worse or Italy was worse. People were falling. When somebody loses somebody, it is a personal loss, and no amount of consolation, no amount of any help can help. But unfortunately, life has to move on, especially in this time. You can either feel depressed, low, finished, and sort of get affected by it, which you are going to have, or you can say, okay, I will deal with this. I need to help somebody else. And this is what we need to learn from Mother Nature. We have really, really taken Mother Nature for granted. We have done so much of abuse of Mother Nature that it is finally getting on to us. But वो कहते हैं ना कि फिर सुबह तो सूरज होता है, उगता है, बारिश तो गिरती है, धूप तो निकलती है, मौसम तो बदलता है, पहाड़ जो अपनी जगह पर खड़ा रहता है उसको देखकर कोयल तो कूकती है बाहर, तो उसमें कहीं ना कहीं आपको सिल्वर लाइनिंग नजर आती है. तो जीवन चलते रहना चाहिए. हाँ, तकलीफ है, दुख है, परेशानी है, गुस्सा है, फ्रस्ट्रेशन है, वो तो होगी. जिस इंसान, मेरी एक फ्रेंड थी सुजाता, 40 साल की दोस्त थी मेरी, had a wonderful husband, 2 wonderful children. She had lost both her kidneys. She survived that for 9 years. She got finally a kidney. She was happy to live, and then Corona got her, and she had to be taken to the ICU. I was asking her husband and her children, grown-up children, how is she doing? One day, just 10 hours before her death, she suddenly gave me a FaceTime call from her ICU bed with all the wires on her face, and she's asked me to she said, give me your reassuring smile. And I have smiled millions of times, both as a person and as an actor. My smile froze. I did not manage to smile. And 10 hours later, she passed away. Now, whenever I think of it, it horrifies me. But what can I do? Yesterday, I spoke to her husband. I said, Amitabh, whenever we will meet, we will only exchange smiles. So, I don't know. A lot of people say, अरे यार तू हर चीज में optimistic बनता है, हर चीज में तू आशावादी बनता है, ऐसे थोड़ा होता है जिंदगी. अरे और कोई रास्ता ही नहीं है मेरे पास. मुझे और किसी तरह से जिंदगी जीनी नहीं आती है. Our life has not been smooth sailing, either yours or mine. It is just that this situation has happened on a world level. Otherwise, in your age, from where you started to where it come, do you think you have not faced misery? You have not faced tragedy? You have not faced sense of frustration, sense of loss? We have all passed, and we have all gone through it, and we have still lived, and we have still gone on. So that is, in some way or the other, answers your question.
I get what you're saying, Mr. Kher. You know, I get what you're saying, Mr. Kher, but that is an individual's attempt to get back up and get going. And that is going to happen. This resilience exists in people. But Mr. Kher, how distressing do you think it is to see pictures of people crying outside hospitals, being denied entry, floating corpses in holy rivers, struggling patients? You think the efforts of government should have been more in providing relief right now than managing their own image and perception?
No, I think the criticism is valid in lots of cases, and I think it's important for the government to sort of rise to the occasion and do things what the people of what they are chosen by the people of this country. I think it is it's only an inhuman person will not get affected by the bodies floating, but for another political party to use it for their gain, I think is also not right. I think we should, as people, as I said to you, get angry. And it is important to hold government responsible for what has happened. Somewhere they have slipped, and it's important that, and it is time for them to sort of understand that there is much more to life than just image building, maybe.
I think that's an important message. Let's hope that governments are listening, particularly the central government. They share a majority of this blame simply because, you know, provisions of the Disaster Management Act are in place. they have to really take the blame. But perhaps once the suffering is over, governments need to be held accountable. Mr. Kher, thank you so much for joining us for this conversation, and please continue to do the good work.